Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole with Ray and Dan. I'm Dan,
I'm Ray.
and with us today is Ignacio, and he is from TalentCross.it. Ignacio, welcome. If you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dan and Ray, for having us here today. I am the one of the co-founders of TalentCross, which is a talent agency that has been born 5 years ago. We provide essentially recruiting and nearshore services, BPO as we would call it, for United States-based companies from Latin America for the most part.
Now, is
So I
that
was
the
very
the
excited to,
LATAM,
yeah,
LATAM?
yes, or
Oops, sorry.
LATAM, Latin America, right? Yeah,
LATAM. Okay.
yes. After to summarize it and put it in very short words, after 15 years working on the recruiting and headhunting industry, we decided with my coworker and colleagues, sorry, with my co-founder, let's say Fernando, we decided to create a company that ideally would be able to cover some specific needs for the US market. Then the pandemic came and only helped us grow. It was beneficial for us, the fact that the world started needing remote talent. So that was very, very good for us. So far, we have 75 people working already. I'm looking forward to duplicate next year as well.
Excellent. So the pandemic actually kind of kicked you guys into high gear, so to speak, huh?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, the fact that our clients were accepting because of by the obvious reason, right, that they were accepting the fact that the global talent was accessible, right, and the the fact that they could start accessing people from different parts of the world rather than just the pool that may be around a specific location, really was a game changer, right? Now we are
Yeah.
seeing the trend going in the other way around, which is very interesting. Maybe we can talk about that and the effects for learning and development as well. But on a personal note, I think we need to balance both of worlds. None of them is pure. That we need to find the good things on the blended method, I guess, right? Having people both on site and off site as well, or near in the near shore world, as we would like to say.
Absolutely. So, what types of jobs do you guys recruit for?
Yeah, we recruit for, let's say, software engineering in general terms. That's the forte of our company, or where we have the majority of open roles. But lately, we also have started recruiting and outsourcing a lot of commercial roles, right? We have BDRs, SDRs, key account managers, and also there is a bunch of, or there is a pool of roles that normally can be outsourced as well, that have to do with administration and general aspects of the administration, right? That things that normally could be done on the back office of a specific physical location, and now they are more and more being delegated to people that lives on some part of the world, right? Um, that is also very interesting. From, let's say, copywriters to
Oh, okay.
there's a lot of things that could be done on the marketing side as well. Pay per click, SEO analysts, data analysts, this type of things.
Okay. All right. Um, Do you guys have, as you're recruiting these people for these positions, are you guys doing any type of training before you hand them over to the client?
Yeah, that's a pretty important question. Training is key to our activity, right? It is actually very important that to monitor the learning aspect of a or the learning curve of a person that joins a company. We we like to give a service where we not only present the people to a client, but we also monitor the progress throughout uh, 30, 60, 90 days, and then we monitor in 6 months and in 1 year as well to make sure that we have achieved what we said we were going to, right? And learning is critical in that aspect. Now, in our position, it is interesting because sometimes we are able to give some recommendations to our clients, but we normally are considered an external consultant. So we need to make a lot of efforts there, and we need to make sure that the clients have room for us to be there, um, recommending some topics. Although we can see from the very first moment when we calibrate the needs of the role, we can see already gaps between the desired level of achievement that will be considered as normal and the actual level that of a specific skill that we can see on the market. Sometimes it's not that easy to bridge that gap, right? And we actually spend a lot of time interviewing people that we present to the clients just for the purpose of demonstrating that the type of talent that we have described is not just there or is not ready for the type of salary we are offering. There is a lot of calibration that we need to do there, unless the client is open to bringing people that could be considered junior or ready to be trained, and unless the client
Yeah.
is ready to train and bridge that gap internally. That's what I want to convey. When that happens, well, we are able to move forward in a much faster way, and the results are amazing, right? When you give the opportunity to somebody to actually learn and receive guidance, the the sense of belonging that the person has, and the type of commitment that this person will use to move the needle, then really is the type of situation where we say, okay, this has been a great hire, right? The experience is a complete different story, if that makes sense, right?
What's one of the, like you've just talked about great hires and people fitting in well? Give What about when you have problems with training or situations where it's
Mm.
not working out the right way? What do you do in that situation?
Well, that's actually a good question, Ray. We have some clients that prefer to have people with no experience, or relatively, let's say, yeah, no experience, or close to non-experience at all, but people that can be self-trained, right? We hear that a lot, like, do it yourself. You have here plenty of material. I will give you co-pilot, and you need to find your way out. That's an attitude, right? That they are looking for on a person, more than a specific competence. um, but it's hard to find this type of people,
They're also
because
looking
normally
for
they,
people, I'm sorry, they're also looking for people with
yeah.
no bad habits.
Exactly. That's it. I was going towards that direction. Yes. The habits here are crucial. You need to find people that has at least some system of some core values, right? Or some interest in making sure they are open to receiving feedback as well. Because there is a pretty high cost of giving power to somebody that has no experience, no business rules, or no knowledge of the specific sets of rules that move the needle on a business, and eventually they can automate a system through Airtable, let's say, right? If you are clever enough, you can spend a decent amount of hours self-training yourself on YouTube and playing around with the tool. But you need to also know the business rules and the logic behind the business. So there is a very important role on the leader in that regard to make sure that the person meets also some, that learning from others is important. I'm sure you know about this, and there are models that talk about 60-20-20 or 70-20-10, where 20 or 30% of the knowledge is come from staying and being part of the same pool of people that does the same within a culture, right? Learning from others in that aspect that we cannot suppress yet, at least. I don't think AI can replace that part. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay, so yeah,
Yep,
from
very
our
much so.
going back to your question, Ray, I think we need to make sure we monitor some specific habits and some things that are learned in the family, in the early stages of the development of a person. That's becoming more important right now, rather than just looking for certifications in general terms.
Okay. So, what do your new hires, the people that you're recruiting, that you're bringing on, and you're setting them up, what do they typically say about your training process? Like, what's their feedback to you guys?
Mm. It is interesting. Although we are trying to have new material, fresh material, things that could entertain our audience, sometimes they see it as a fire drill. To put it in very short words, they say, okay, I need to comply with this, and it's reduced to the mere fact of completing a checklist, right? Sometimes I am under the sensation that they are just completing the training because we are asking for that and they cannot refuse. But if they were given the chance, they would simply opt out, right? They don't think it's necessary. And I have seen that a lot as well when I was a HR manager, and I worked in several like large corporations, and we were audited, right? There was a heavy compliance system that urged our people to do the trainings, and everybody left that training for until the very last chance, right?
Right.
They were just about to lose their bonuses, and that's where only when the person would read the course or take the exams. So I think there is something that needs to be done on a different way there, to put it
Sure.
in short words, right?
Sure. So, do you guys rely more on your in-house training or external resources?
No, well, sometimes we need to rely on external resources, right? We need we have our candidates go through boot camps, I would say, to make sure that they can move faster and they can achieve the next level. We see that a lot on cybersecurity, and also in Salesforce or SAP, SAP.
Yep.
And that plays a pretty crucial pretty crucial role in our development system that helps us display to our clients how our junior people can be considered now a mid-level or even a senior person. So we use external validators, let's say, to make sure that the person can display an actual improvement.
That's actually a good segue. That was going to be my next question. How do you measure whether those training or development programs are actually making a real difference in the people that you're handing off to these companies?
Well, in particular, we have a pretty heavy let's say a pretty heavy performance monitoring system. We establish KPIs or OKRs from the
Sure.
very beginning. Like I was telling at the beginning of the conversation, we have a calibration with our clients, and we make sure there is a pretty comprehensive Excel spreadsheet. Nowadays we are trying to use something more, automated. But in general, we still use an Excel spreadsheet where we ask the clients to make sure they specify the how are we going to achieve and monitor the achievement of some goals, right, that we are going to establish from day 1 to day 60, then from day 60 to let's say second quarter of the year or the half of the year already, and then the periods. We can go on in a modular way as much as the client requests for, but on a general roadmap we have already some let's say some specific intention that also helps us make sure the person stays with us. We need to promote people. Otherwise the good ones will exit the system, right? They will escape, and we don't want that. We want to keep them engaged with the proposal. So training in that regard is really important.
Absolutely.
So you're talking about, KPIs and OKRs. Um, what do you think your ROI, your return on your investment has been with your training so far? How has it been going, and where do you think, if anywhere, that you have room for improvement?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ray. Roughly speaking, you caught me off guard. I don't have the specific numbers
No,
here, but just
no
off
specifics,
of my
just a
head.
general sense of how you feel.
Yeah, I think I would say that only 15 to 20% of the population can really take the advantage of the training we are giving, right? There is a huge part of the people that, although they receive the formal trainings, they don't use it for progression, or we are not able to see it. There are many ways to understand that. We could talk a long time about it. Maybe they are not. Maybe the training does not come in the right timing. Maybe they are not engaged with the company or the mission and the vision of the business, right? And maybe that's why they keep procrastinating and simply complying with the formalities. But there is a 15% that really takes the advantage of that, and those are the ones that's the 20% that we would make sense, let's say, and would justify the other 80. I think that's still a great number, because when you are able to promote somebody and they are able to achieve a next level in the organization, that creates attraction that is fantastic for everybody, for the client as a first obvious effect, but for us as well, because we are able to gain confidence, to make sure that everybody understands why they need to choose us as a provider, right? That transpires, and eventually we have new customers coming because of that fantastic experience that one client had. So I think I am a firm believer in training, in the power of training, right? Although it's pretty scarce as a general rule of thumb, I would say, right? The results are not immediate, or I am not able to monitor that yet. Maybe I need a better learning management system. So I will give you then, I will ask you how to do that.
All right, Dan,
So
go ahead.
yeah. So you were talking about how with COVID, the remote kind of kicked into high gear, and you had mentioned now, and I have to agree with you. I'm seeing that trend myself where some of these businesses are now saying, come on back to the office.
Oh yes.
Are there, besides that industry trend, are there any other trends, or is that the main one that's kind of making you rethink your approach?
Uh, well, that's actually happening. I think that's part of the reality, and there are good reasons for the customers to ask people to go back to the offices. I think let's just say that out loud because there are great reasons. If you have great leaders in the company, why don't you go there, sit, have a coffee with them? You will learn from them in a much faster way than reading a book or a YouTube tutorial, right? From that perspective, that is great. But yet it is a challenge for us. The fact that people does not want to go to the office, right? Although the clients are asking for, we still see a lot of resistance, right, in the people. So our remote system really helps a lot of people to choose and stay on these type of positions that are outsourced rather than taking the local opportunities that they have, right? I can tell you about that as well. We have 75 people that normally would prefer to stay home rather than going to an office.
Sure.
Now, oh, sorry, I think I lost the question for a minute. I was just trying to convey that. Can you please repeat it?
Yeah, no, 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 no. Actually, you were
Yeah.
you were hitting the nail on the head there. I was saying that the trend of wanting to go back, the employers wanting the people to come back to the office. Is there any other trends that you're seeing that would make you possibly rethink that your guys' approach?
Yeah. So, well, I think that there is a trend there that eventually we can talk about. It's the micro learning, right? Or bite sized learning, I would say, like little modules rather than large modules. I think people has lost patience somehow, or people does not tolerate to stay in front of the computer for training or for any other purpose, right? And just to talk about a little bit of a personal side there, I have a 4 years old kid, right? He's starting to watch some videos. I don't want him to watch videos, but it's becoming trendy because he goes to the college to his little, let's say, kindergarten, and his friends are looking and watching videos. Today I was having a pretty heavy discussion with a 4 years old kid. I realized that little videos have a lot of stimulation, but they last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, no more than that. I was trying to show him the videos that I watched when I was a 6 years old guy, and they were so slow for him, so slow that he could not tolerate, right? Like, this is boring, Dad. I don't want to see that. And this really resonates in the society we live in right now. People that needs things that move faster and more specific in a more specific purpose driven way. Otherwise they would not consume the information, I believe.
Hence the bite size trainings.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's important. There is also a lot of AI involved here as a trend, and I think that's pretty dangerous in a way as well, because with AI come a lot of information that maybe is not backed up by the actual sources that we used to trust before. There are things that are written there that we take like for granted, and we still need to make sure people is able to criticize. Is that the word? To have like a
Yeah.
critic train of thoughts, more than or before they learn any other thing, that they should learn how to question the system. I think that that's still a crucial aspect, that young people needs to look and observe, and use as a reality every day.
So we have a phrase for that. It's something we trust but verify,
Oh yes, that's great. Yeah,
right? Trust
yeah.
but verify. You
Yeah.
know, all the inspect what you expect. You know,
Oh yes, I like the I like the way that sounds. I'm gonna start using that phrase, Ray.
steal
Yes,
it, brother. It's all yours. There's a third one,
I'm gonna
Dan.
take
Trust
it.
but verify, inspect what you expect. And what's the third one, Dan? Do you remember?
I
There's a
don't.
third one. It might pop in, but those two are really what you're talking about, right? Trust but verify, inspect what you expect. And when you're doing that, you're right. I mean, AI is the future. 5 years ago, right? If you wanted to know anything, what did you do? You Googled it, right?
Oh yes,
And like everybody's like Google is like gospel, right? You know, and now
yes.
Chat GPT is gospel, right? And it's just going to continue to grow that way. And that's one of the things that you're going to look. Sorry, there was a cat.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah,
That's one of the.
yeah. And maybe
Go ahead.
yes, I agree with you, Ray. And I was thinking, not sure how the third sentence would sound, but I am pretty sure it goes. It is related to measuring the or tracking, let's say, the system, and making sure we can monitor the progress of a person when talking about training. Because otherwise, they the person learns but forgets about it, right? We can learn in a very fast way, but unless we have some reasons to keep that information for ourselves and for the rest, we simply leave it there, because there is so much information all over the place that we need to de-learn, or make somehow forget what we have just learned, right? To make room for other things.
It's learn
Retention.
it. Yeah, retention. That's the word. That's the word you're looking for.
Retention.
Retention.
Retention. You want
Yeah.
them to retain what they're,
Okay.
you know, and one of the ways to retain it is being able to. This is a fancy new word I have. It's like my favorite new word, gamification.
Okay. Yes.
Right? We just talked to a gentleman a couple days ago, a cybersecurity company, and creating different types of fun events and questions and challenges, and putting people up on a scale where they can compete against their peers for training, and like they scored an 80 but their friend scored a 90, and they see that their friend is smarter than them, right? that's something
Yeah.
to that's something to that's it's becoming more and more part of the mainstream.
Of course, yeah. I know that they even call themselves red team or blue team, right? They play characters, whether they are on the ethical side of hacking or on the other side as well. It is pretty interesting how, yeah, how can gamification make it more attractive as well, right? That's that's a nice word. Yeah.
So, if there was no budget issues, if you could wave a magic wand, if you could picture your ideal version for your company of what learning and development looks like, what would it be? What would it be for you guys?
Oh, that's that's a pretty interesting question. Well, let me please think about it, because in
Yeah.
a way I think we have a lot of platforms that are already there, that are accessible to our people. They have just, I can think already on five names. Not sure if I can disclose them here, but
Oh, that's okay.
I know they also have AI, ChatGPT, CBT Nuggets, and maybe other platforms as well that are very common. But I think we need to go back to the basics in somehow and make sure that they have formal training on attitudes, like Ray was saying before, how to adopt the right attitude in front of your leaders. How are you going to make it to the next level? Do you want to stay with the company for 5 years? Okay, here is a roadmap for you. Is this clear for you? We have other ideas as well. We can discuss that, but we need to stay and spend time with you and make sure you achieve some learnings to so that I can put you in front of another client. This has to do with a human component more than a learning management system that I think it's very necessary, right? We want, normally we cover that throughout a HRBP system. Every let's say every client that has a good amount of consultants also come with the ability to opt out for either a project manager or a HRBP that would stay with our people very closely, monitoring that they are happy what yeah, they are happy with the plan. And we take this seriously because retention from that perspective is very important, right? Also somebody that can monitor and make sure that the progress is being displayed in front of the right stakeholders. So I think the perfect system maybe does not exist unless we have the ability to make the necessary questions and implant the questioning side of things in our consultants, which is key.
Well, retention, retention's huge. I mean, I was just reading an article about where, somebody you spend your time, you spend days, week, months, years getting somebody right to where you want them to be, and then they leave.
Yes,
And
of
then you got to
course.
start all over again, right? So you got to figure out a way to not only monetize them to make them stay, make them feel appreciated, make them feel important, that they don't want to leave. Even if they get a better
Of course.
opportunity, sometimes, you have to have people that are loyal, right? You need loyalty along with talent and skill. You get talent, skill, and loyalty. That's how you get retention.
Of course, and then I agree with you 100%, Ray, and I can tell you also something that goes even against our business, but internal fulfillment is much better than external fulfillment of open roles within a company, right? Because
Absolutely.
when you are able to do that, you have people that already knows the culture. They know how to move or how to behave on a specific organization as a set of rules, so there's no learning curve in that aspect. Then if a company has the ability to train and bridge the gap on some very technical thing, they also know how to apply the other part, the other component of the performance, because they have been on the company for many years, or yeah, maybe months, which is already an advantage, right? So I agree with you. We should have leaders that look into learning as the best way to keep people engaged. I like to talk about engagement more than retention in that regard.
That makes perfect sense. So retention, would you say retention, engagement, and promotion are the three key aspects to your success, your business's success?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, if I should put it in short words, I would say that exactly, Dan. Yes.
That's awesome. Okay.
And also checking, right? Checking for feedback. But do not assume, I mean, the opposite of assuming what's good for the consultant, because that's when we make terrible mistakes. We could invest heavily on a person that does not want to take the new training. Maybe there is people that doesn't want to be promoted, and that's interesting or important to understand as well. Because that loyalty is like a two-way street. I think that's the saying, right? So
Absolutely.
you need to make sure that
Loyalty is a
aspect
two-way
balanced
street.
as well.
Absolutely. That's a saying. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So, Ignacio,
yeah.
looking ahead, next 3 to 5 years, what does your training look like, and where do you see your company going?
I think we are gearing towards, let's say, a full bunch of open roles that have to do with automation, workflow automations in general terms. I see that a lot, and that's becoming trendy already. And I am having conversations with startups that talk about this thing we were saying before, like, hey, don't give me the glorified project manager, don't bring me this type of person. I don't have the need of having that. I don't have the budget for that either. I just need a junior person that is very clever, that can learn fast, and eventually in 2 or 3 months they will be able to do things with Copilot as in the way I need them. So I think we are going to that type of market, which is pretty scary in a way, because for us as recruiters, normally it is better to create a good job posting, have people go through heavy technical assessments, right? And that way we can validate that they are able to do whatever a customer needs to achieve. Now it's like with no rules there, it is pretty ambiguous, right? And at the same time, I think we are going. There is an aspect there that customers need to think how how are they going to do this, because there is a huge portion of the population that is already senior, and senior people is more expensive, right? So I am always on the hesitation there. I'm not sure whether they want people that is just junior because they will ask for a lower budget. If that's the case, we are in a problem. As a company that brings people from other countries and takes advantages of the cost of living in different cities, I can tell you there are other strategies to let's say make your budget more efficient. But it's not, we should not be confused in when we talk about seniority and ability to learn, because senior people is also very able to learn, and is maybe also better trained already in a lot of aspects, so it is worth to invest on them as well, right?
Absolutely.
It's the difficulty of finding the right person in the right place at the right time, but still making sure that that person is compensated the way they deserve, and not having that company turn around and say, give me a $25,000 person instead
exactly.
of a $75,000 person, when in reality that person is probably worth 50,000. It's kind of finding that balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we focus. I tell my recruiters to focus on budget, scope, and timing, right? Which are the three dimensions that we need to make sure they go together. And it has to do with this that you are mentioning as well, Dan. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's probably a great place for us to wrap up here. That was extremely interesting. My only experience with recruiters were with the companies that I worked for, and I had an interesting experience with Robert Half, if you're familiar with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
They were that was a very interesting experience. I felt like I was being almost interrogated by them to get a position that I think at the time was $15 or $16 an hour. But they kind of ran me through the ringer, and I was like, ooh. It almost felt like, I don't know, I felt really weird afterwards. But it sounds like what you guys are doing at TalentCross is, I don't want to say a soft approach, but more of a compassionate approach. Does that sound about right? Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
That's the vibe I was getting from you, that it's not a harsh way of recruiting, that there's some love behind what you guys are doing.
Of course, yeah, yeah. That I agree with you. We are really happy when we see that somebody has changed a project or has changed the they have believed in what we have said to them, and that's why maybe they changed the jobs. And when they are able to achieve their dreams through a job that we have proposed, there is no money that will pay that satisfaction, if you know what I mean, right?
I do.
And that's why we also monitor the post-hire experience, which is crucial, and it's a very, very important element there. And furthermore, if we are talking about the outsourcing part or the BPO part of our business, that's also very relevant. So, yeah, I am very happy to have had this opportunity to speak with you. And of course, you are free to call me, or we can actually meet up if you come back to Argentina, or if I go to the US. That'll be amazing.
Absolutely. Ignacio, thank you so much for meeting with us. That was a great experience for us as well, to learn about what you guys do.
All right. I look forward to speaking with you later.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Dan, roll out the red carpet for him. Don't forget. Don't hang up.
Yes, sir. No. I was just about to. So to kind of end this, what we like to do is, like Ray said, roll out the red carpet. Tell us your website, so that the people that view this know how to reach you guys, maybe an email address, contact information. The floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Dan. It was a pleasure. You can find me on talentcross.it. That's our website. And in LinkedIn as well, we are with those two words all together, TalentCross as a concept. I think that if your team is stuck in spreadsheets, or instead of focusing on growth, then we should talk. We have the ability to become your BPO arm, and help you there strengthen your learning management systems as well. And that's it.
Fantastic.
Ignacio, it was a pleasure talking to you this evening, sir.
Thank you for giving us
Thank
your time,
you.
sir.
Likewise, gentlemen.
Have a great evening.
Have a great rest of your day. Talk
Great
soon.
night.
Bye-bye.